You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
News in the NFL. Thursday Night Football has the Dolphins hosting the Bills. Miami has ruled out running back Raheem Mostert with a chest injury, while running back Devon Achane will be a game-time decision with an ankle injury for Miami. In baseball games of note, the Braves lose to the Nationals 5-1. Atlanta now a game back of the New York Mets for the last wildcard spot in the National League because the Mets rallied to beat the Blue Jays 6-2. New York had no hits going into the ninth inning, then scored 6 runs to get the win. Yankees get by the Royals 5-4 in 11 innings. Kansas City's 4.5 back of Cleveland for the AL Central's top spot. New York's lead in the AL East is back up to a game and a half on Baltimore, with the Orioles losing to the Red Sox 5-3 in 10 innings. Twins over the Angels 6-4, while the Tigers beat the Rockies 7-4. Detroit remains 3 back of Minnesota for the final wildcard spot in the American League. White Sox lose to the Guardians 6-4. That's 114 losses for Chicago. They're 7 away from breaking the all-time record for losses in a season.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into this Thursday edition of the Martin Houston Show, powered by Max Sports. As we get ready to kick it off, we will be taking a look at the playbook where we get into some recruiting news, some big visits this past weekend. Basketball lands its first commit for the 2025 class. Caden Proctor takes a big step and looks like he might be ready to play on Saturday. Finally get to see the big man back in action. What is the best combination for this offensive line? If we get some time, we'll take a look at Wisconsin. And also, is it time to open up the playbook and really see what this DeBoer offense can do? Well, I'll kick it over to you.
All right. Welcome in once again, as Xavier said, to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Box Eye Care, they help us bring this great programming to you each and every day. Check them out at boxeyecare.com. As he said, great show lined up for you. And we want to invite you to get in on that conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline. It is open for business. Learn more about Empowerment Strategies and Solutions. Go to empowermentstrategy.com. That's empowerment with an M. That's my newest venture. We speak, we coach, we train, empowering leaders, advancing financial literacy, and driving growth with an emphasis in banking and real estate. We love the opportunity to partner with you. So go check us out, Empowerment Strategies and Solutions .com. Empowermentstrategy.com is where you can find us. And hey, for those of you who tune in each and every day over on chat, good morning. A couple guys already hitting a couple of statements there. We got a couple guys already on the phone lines, X, so it's going to be a full day. But remember, regardless of how full your day is, this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice, be glad in it, take the time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. All right, X, before we get it's up to you. I know we're going to talk recruiting. We got a couple guys waiting on the phone lines. You take it from here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and hop on the phone lines on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline. We've got Chuck. How you doing this morning, Chuck?
Good morning to you three. I'm doing just fine here in Monroe, Louisiana. I'm gonna get in quickly. I was just calling. I see you all are playing the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and one thing about it, people keep in mind. I know you have a first season coach there in Kalen DeBoer, and sometimes people thinking you Coach Saban spoil you all with all the magic through the years with the national championships. But let's face it, we saw the results. I think about Michigan getting beaten badly by Texas. Sometimes that in this age of transfer portal, these rosters are changing, and I see Michigan's coach just got a contract yesterday. Things can happen so quick because let's face it, you have players. You have players who are becoming acquainted with each other who never played together. There's some that may have played together, we don't know, but it's a gamble. And I know you're going to play Wisconsin, and we don't know what Lou Fickle has up his sleeves, and we know Barry Alvarez is not going to be walking through that door.
Yeah.
But, you have to be mindful of these things in this age of college athletics. We see what Alabama is going to have as the season progresses when they get into the meat of the schedule, and this is where we are in this age. But like I said, when I look at Michigan, when Michigan lost, I wasn't surprised because let's face it, Texas still has that same team.
Michigan isn't what they were last year. Not. I mean, they lost a lot. They lost Harbaugh. But as far as Sherrone Moore signing his contract the other day, he hadn't signed a contract. He had been coaching without a contract the first 2 games of the season. So, and I think he's a stopgap, if I'm just going to be honest with that. But, yeah, Alabama is getting into the meat of their schedule, and this is where it starts. This is where it gets tough on the road. At Wisconsin, this will be the first I was going to say the first real test, but that actually was this past Saturday. But what people perceived as the first real test for this Alabama team, and when you look at what Wisconsin is,
that's true. You're exactly right.
Anything else for us, Chuck?
But I mean, this one, that's why I say you have to keep in mind, your team is still keeping together. Like I said, when Texas won, they still had that team that went to the college football playoffs last year. That's what Coach Steve Sarkisian still has that team together. That was the difference there. And I think you got your guys are going to. I think when things gel, I think the reality is going to kick in when like I said, when you get into the meat of the schedule. I'm gonna land on that one. I didn't mean to go a long time.
Oh, you good, Chuck? All right. Hey, have a good one. We've got Pat joining us now on the hotline. Pat's ready to talk some recruiting. What you got for me, man?
Man, Justice Terry, where there's fire, where there's smoke, there must be some fire.
Tell me about Pat, I was planning on talking about justice today.
Well, let's go. Let's roll with it.
Let's do it.
Justice is there. I think there is a lot of smoke there. I think there's some fire there. He's loved it the last couple times. His mom loves Alabama. I think it's a very big possibility that we can land him. I think if Alabama beats Georgia in a couple weeks, Justice Terry will be a part of this class 100%.
Okay. For those who don't follow recruiting like you and Pat, who is Justice
Terry is a 5-star defensive lineman out of the state of Georgia. He's been on a couple visits. He was committed to USC till about a month and a half ago, or 2 months ago, decommitted, went to Bama's big cookout, and has been trending Georgia with Alabama a close second. But he was back in town this past weekend, and everything looks like it might be starting to trend Bama right now.
Yeah, and he's 6'5.5" and 275 pounds of muscle and speed. That
well, the other part
that's kind of scary for a quarterback, huh? Go ahead, Martin.
More than anything is he's seen Alabama play 2 games, and he see that they're playing 8 or 9 defensive linemen. So, that's what Kennington was telling us, that you're going to see some recruiting based on how things go. If you're a defensive lineman and you're watching Alabama play these first 2 games, you have to like what you've seen so far.
Yeah. All right. One more question, X. And where are we leaning? I mean, who's going to be the biggest possibility of are we going to get another? No, next question. Are we going to get another 5-star wide receiver to put icing on this class?
I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of talks about wide receivers in this class. There's been a couple rumors about guys in the 2026 class with Darius Morgan, who's out of Huntsville. I think he is the next big name, but he's a 2026 guy. I haven't heard anything else about a 2025 guy.
Well, I'm hearing that if Auburn doesn't come up with a quarterback quick, that that roster is going to be poachable.
It definitely might be poachable, and of course, everybody after this past weekend, the performance they had, been talking about, who could Bama get? Could it be Cam? Could it be Perry? Could it be one of these other freshmen that is down there right now? So, as of right now, there's just a lot of talk.
Yeah, well, my son says Cam. I'd like to see Cam at wow. But hey, you put Cam alongside of my 17-year-old speedster. Good Lord. All right, hey, we might be able to have another Heisman quarterback candidate next year. All right, have a blessed one, guys.
Thanks, Pat.
All right, Pat.
Thanks. Real quick, we hadn't really got it deep into recruiting yet, but X, with do we lose anybody other than Bernard this year?
We don't lose Jeremy this year.
I'm saying he's the only one that I think would potentially, if he were to have a breakout season with his age, he's not. I think he might go. That'd be the only reason he would leave, right?
But he's only a true junior too, so he's not even a redshirt junior.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying, he's been here we're his third team. He went with Michigan. Yeah. So it shows you he'll jump teams. I'm just saying he's the only one that I think that if he has a breakout season, he's the only one that leaves.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This wide receiver room is extremely deep and extremely young. So it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't lose anybody, but he probably would be the one if somebody was to leave.
The only one I would be concerned with leaving would be possibly Henderson, because I think Alabama misused him by putting him at wide receiver. I think he could have been a change-up at running back. And he's fine. I think he's learning how to play the position, but the other guys that's playing this position is a natural. And if he were to go to another school, which is very possible, and he could end up across the state too, I could see him as a guy who would be explosive in another offense, because his talent level would be good enough to get him on the field. Here, he has to have not just talent, he's going to have to develop skills to break into the rotation. Let's get the break here. We'll be back on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. I want to thank the good folks over at Box Eye Care for what they do each and every day. Daniel Box, OD, 205-342-0660. They can help us and help you see clearly into the future, literally. Go check them out. They're located at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's down on Highway 69, right next door to Met Center South. So go check them out. And they had that new lab, in-house lab, huge inventory, and it also gives them the ability to have some of the most competitive prices in town. Going to get the same great vision care and great new selection. That's Box Eye Care, boxeyecare.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, hello and happy Thursday to you. We are definitely wet and soggy outside right now as we're getting the remnants of Hurricane Francine. Now, let's talk traffic-wise. We do have a fender bender on 2059 westbound before Skyland Boulevard. Everything's on the right shoulder now, so you do have a tap on the brakes for you.
That's at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or online at bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy and windy with rain and thunderstorms today. The chance of a few brief isolated tornadoes, the high 75. Showers diminishing tonight, the low 67. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a few scattered showers and storms around, the high 81. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back in. It is a beautiful Thursday morning. We're talking recruiting, O-line combo, Caden Proctor, Wisconsin. Is it time to open up the playbook? Talking about opening up the playbook. If you have land in Alabama, especially West Alabama, and you don't know how to maximize, get the most out of it, call North River Timber Company, Courtney White and Chase Pearson. They'll take care of you. 205-242-5127, 205-242-5127. That's Courtney's number. Give them a call or email them at northrivertimberco@gmail.com. They'll help you with timber harvesting, appraisals, and land management. Courtney White says, if you have land, it's like having money in the bank, and they can help you maximize its potential. That's North River Timber Company. Really quick before you jump in, got a couple comments we'll get to off of the chat, but Curtis Moore II asked you, so you're saying that Sharon, he got Sharon Moron is Matt Luke or Zach Arnett. I disagree with you on saying that he was a gap stop. I just think that I don't think they could go anywhere else and not lose their program. That makes sense. Yeah. But I also think that Sharon is the reason they won last year. There's two guys, the reason Jim Harbaugh finally won a championship. One's in Tuscaloosa and one's the head coach there now.
Courtney Moore.
Yep. And Sharon, but he lost. The problem he has, X, is the same problem Alabama has as defensive backs last year. They lost all 5 offensive linemen. And when you're a physical team, what do you do? I mean, I don't want us to get too deep into that, but I just wanted to bring that up since you had mentioned that, and that was one of the comments. I'll toss it back to you, man.
All right, yeah. So we've got Robert from Mobile joining us on the Empowerment and Strategy Solutions Hotline. How you doing this morning, Robert?
Hey, guys. Xavier, you did open up a bunch of can of worms there with that. I was kind of worried about that myself, too. I mean, not that I thought I don't think it's wrong, but you just gave me news I didn't know myself. So the guy doesn't actually have a contract?
He signed it a day or two ago, but he hadn't signed it before the season started.
Which is crazy.
Which is what makes me think he was a stopgap.
Okay. I never thought about that myself. That's news to me. Breaking news here. That was good. Hey, I hate to Proctor. This is his first game getting it back in. But what I've heard other commentators say that Wisconsin doesn't offer the kind of speed on the defensive line that USF did, and maybe the offensive line will do a lot better this weekend. Is that how you guys see it?
I think the offensive line will be better. As we talked about, Caden Proctor, big news that he should be back. He took a big step yesterday in practice, and it looks like he'll be playing on Saturday. Now the question is, Is it going to be Pritchett? Is it going to be Formby? I think it depends on who has the best week in practice. I think Pritchett would probably have the lean going into this week. Who's it going to be? But, yeah, I think this offensive line will be better. They're a more physical defensive line from what I've seen with Wisconsin, but they're not as athletic and as quick as what we saw with South Florida.
Robert, and I to specifically address South Florida was an SEC front seven. I think we've lost a little bit in college football in what we in the way you look at football. First of all, Robert, do you know they had 19 starters return from last year? Did you know that?
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, that's pretty big. I didn't know that.
Let that sink in. 19 guys played against us last year and felt like they should have beat us last year. Confidence. That's number one. Number two is those guys. They had a bull on their head. If you flip that logo and put the Texas orange on it, you look at that front seven, you'd be like, "Whoa, okay." And I think we as Alabama fans underestimated that. And then I think it was magnified because of the move that the coaching staff made with the offensive line. Robert, you broke up. Robert, what do you do for a living, if you don't mind sharing?
I'm an engineer.
Okay, engineer, right?
Yeah.
Are there certain things that make certain other things stronger?
Of course.
Okay. What makes Alabama what makes Alabama's offensive line strong? The guard on the left and the right of the center in the middle, right?
Right. Because I guess that's everybody, but yeah.
But my point is this. Brailsford, Booker, and Roberts, they don't just make the center of our offensive line good. They don't just make our offensive line good. They make our entire running game go. And once the running game goes, the quarterback can do play action pass and throw the ball deep. What's Jalen Milroe's biggest strength? That one single move took your best offensive player, put him at a position where he was not as good as a guy that couldn't even be the starter, meaning Pritchett. Before, Pritchett is not the regular starter. Booker is not as good at left tackle as Pritchett is. But now you bring in a guy at guard that's lower than him who couldn't be a starter, who now is the combination with the center of your offensive. You see what I'm saying? So I think I think South Florida front seven was actually better. And X and I disagree. I don't think Wisconsin is more physical. I think they're bigger. That front seven, especially those front four, Robert, that we played Saturday, that wasn't a fluke. And it was the coach's mentality that made them so physical. He said, I don't care if you're Alabama or not. We're going to come at you with 5, 6, 8, 7. You're going to have to beat us, but you definitely ain't going to line up and just sit back there and beat us. And that's a mindset, and I think guys bought into that.
You know, I kind of agree with X on the Wisconsin being more physical, but I think Alabama can handle that kind of physicality that Wisconsin brings. I think the speed was the difference. I kind of agree with X on the physicality. I think
let me ask you this, Robert. Are we saying physicality in the way they play the game or bigger? They are bigger, but physicality is not a size thing. Physicality is
I guess not. That's what I'm thinking. But you know, by your point is taken. I'm just thinking size makes them more.
Yeah, I think they're bigger and slower, which should be to our advantage, Robert, because we can get on our block, we can get on the edge, we can hook them, we can do all those things you're talking about. I agree with that sentiment.
Okay, well, you guys taught me into that they're going to cover the spread now.
What's your score?
I'm good. I forgot what I told Ryan. But I think it was 38. So I know 38-13 is what I told Ryan. So I'm going to tell you guys the same thing.
All right, what's the rush yard? For total rush yard, quarterback included.
Alabama?
Yeah, Alabama's total rush yards.
Oh, yeah, we did really good last week once we got the right combo in there. I'm gonna go 200. I'm gonna go 215. I think we cracked
215. All right.
Hey guys.
I appreciate you, Robert. Real quick before we jump into something else, just to finish this up on recruiting before we get to break, Alabama's basketball team and they land their first commit of the 2025 class, and that's Amari Allen. He is a 6'7", 180-pound small forward out of Wisconsin. Really good playmaker. He's a top 70 guy in this class, and it's going to be interesting to see what Alabama builds around him, because this team, Alabama basketball, is you got a handful of guys that are in their last year, like Nelson and Sears, but you've got a lot of young guys on this team as well. It would be interesting to see where Alabama goes with this class as a whole.
Yeah, I had not really kept up with the basketball. I didn't even realize that, so that's good news for Nate Oates and company. Anything else from the football recruiting standpoint, man?
There's not really a lot of noise going on right now. I will tell you this: we did have a tight end prospect come to campus. I didn't catch this after the Western Kentucky game. I called it this week. He'll be a sophomore next year. He is 6'7.5", 250 pounds. Watch some clips. This kid is an absolute freak athlete. His last name is Iowa. IIOH. Absolute playmaker, and it'd be interesting to see if Bama can land him in this class as well, because I think they're going after him kind of hard.
Yeah, what you sent a note about Caleb Cunningham. Anything going on with him?
Yeah, Caleb Cunningham came back for his visit this past weekend. Has really fallen in love with this Alabama staff. Got to have a one-on-one with Julio Jones this past weekend. He said that really meant a lot to him to be able to stand and talk to him, the guy who started this run on Alabama wide receivers at the college level and into the pros. Just said that was huge for him, and he's really wants to be a part of what Alabama is building.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Sometimes you can't ever trust the media, no matter what it is, sports, politics, religion, etc. Don't ever trust the media. But they are all of a sudden. I've seen several stories out there, X, where they're going, why is Mississippi not getting the top recruits? And they're writing stories to try to convince these top recruits that they need to go to Ole Miss or Mississippi State. I thought that was an interesting take on the media. I'm like, is that about helping them or hurting Alabama? I thought
right.
That was right.
No, I haven't seen that, but that's pretty funny. But if you think about it, everybody talks about, Alabama's not recruiting the state of Alabama well. Well, we've got the top two guys out of the state of Mississippi. So we're recruiting the top players. They're just not all from Alabama this year.
That's right. We'll keep the conversation going on the other side. When we get back, you'll be able to continue to get in on the conversation. And while we're at break, consider utilizing one of our great sponsors, and that's Dixie Battery Supply. Dixie Battery Supply. Wholesale batteries, great for powering your golf carts, your speedboats, cars, motorcycles, scooters, etc. Call 205-758-9190 to learn more about the wholesale batteries in Northport and Tuscaloosa. And then Tuscaloosa Dixie Battery Supply is a locally owned battery warehouse doing business since 1998. They care about not just helping you, but also helping the community. You aren't buying batteries from big, huge corporation. You're buying it from your neighbor. Don't forget, they buy junk batteries. We have over 4,000 batteries in stock, and we're one of the largest battery recyclers in the state. Best battery pricing around and starting at $39.99 for those battery exchanges. Go check them out. That's DixieBatterySupply.com or 205-758-9190.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, hello and happy Thursday to you. We are definitely wet and soggy outside right now as we're getting the remnants of Hurricane Francine. Now, let's talk traffic-wise. We do have a fender bender on 2059 westbound before Skyland Boulevard. Everything's on the right shoulder now, so you do have a tap on the brakes for your...
No prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Get your officially licensed co-branded Alabama swag today. You can get the Legacy swag by going to athletesthread.com/collections/Martin-Houston. It is the officially licensed Alabama gear. The only place you can get the Legacy collection is at athletesthread.com/collections/Martin-Houston. And if you like the old Alabama Crimson Tide logo with the varsity A elephant stepping through, you can find that gear right there. We have full shirt logos, pocket logo as well. Some items are NIL branded, some are clean and clear, just the Legacy logo. So if you're looking at us online, you can just scan the QR code. That's the officially licensed, co-branded Martin Houston Legacy collection. All right, X, I toss it back to you.
All right, as we get ready to kick off this second half, we've talked a little bit about it, but when you look at this offensive line, Proctor's supposed to be back. Pritchett and Formby will be back at competing for the right tackle with what we saw Saturday. Pritchett most likely having the lead at that spot. What is the best combination for this Alabama offensive line moving forward?
Well, first of all, do you think a guy wins a job on 3 drives when he wasn't the starter?
No, I don't.
And that's what a lot of people are assuming, okay? Two things. Why do you think Formby had the advantage over Pritchett? Why do you think he was the starter?
I think you look at he had been at the spot since spring when Pritchett was on the left side, so that gave him the jump. And then when Pritchett came back to the right side after Proctor took over at the left, when he almost immediately after fall camp started, like day 2 or 3, I think Wilkin was more consistent at whatever they were looking for in that position.
Okay. So if that's the case, does all the film watching and all that go out the window because of 3 drives?
No, I don't think so.
And here's the question I ask everybody that's calling, and Curtis Moore just hit it. Pass pro, okay? So that's one of the reasons I think Wilkin is a better pass blocker. I think is a better run blocker. And then, of course, you come out of that game and you go, but dang, Martin, he had 4 holding penalties.
2 of them were horrible.
And that's what I was going to say. And I think the coach at South Florida, give him credit, give him kudos. I think he told them to watch 75. Watch this guy. Because I think Wilkin Mel got away with a couple holes in the first game. Okay? And so they were on him. I mean, they were on him. The next question becomes this. Is Pritchett reliable off the field, right? Remember, as a coach, what you saw last year with this guy, can you go forward with him? And I don't know the answer to that. You see what I'm saying? I'm just saying, is there something else that keeps him? Because, man, Pritchett is – when I look at Pritchett, I look at him and go, man, that's my dude. If he wins the starting job getting off the bus. Okay. So I just think that there may be some concern there, and I could be totally wrong. Because like you remember what he did last year, and I said all spring and all before the season started, if he doesn't start, it's because they don't know if they will have him week to week.
Yeah,
I think he's probably a better ball player than Pritchett. Than Wilkin. Especially with the games we have coming up. The question becomes,
can you trust
who you gonna put your trust in? And I don't know the answer to that. So my best combination is you put the group back where you had them, the middle. We are assuming that Proctor is better. Okay? We're assuming that Proctor weight loss makes him a better pass pro guy. Proctor has not played football in 9 months. And that concerns me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him back out there. Glad to hear he's back, but I do still have some concerns in terms of him and what he brings to the table. But I think he would be my left tackle. And I don't know who will be the starter in the long run, but after Saturday, whether you like him, love him, hate him, or can't trust him, you make Pritchett the starter this game if he doesn't do anything boneheaded between Saturday night and Saturday. So he would be my starter this week.
I agree with that. I think when you look at it, Proctor, based off of everything we've heard, and if that shoulder can hold up, is your best option at left tackle. And even though I don't think you automatically give a guy the starting spot based off of.
All right. Did we lose X?
You do the same thing.
With X, you went out.
The same.
Repeat what you were saying. I don't think last thing I heard you say, you don't give him the job.
You don't necessarily just automatically say, hey, this is where we're going to move forward. But you give them the opportunity to see what happens. And then if it doesn't pan out, you do what you did this past week and you pull him and you put Formby back in there and give him another opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the key. And I agree with that X. That's the way I would approach it.
Yeah, that's the only way I think you can go moving forward. You give the guy an opportunity because he performed well when he came in. I'm kind of – it's like he came in at the end of the game. They say he was banged up, but he was well enough to have started if it hadn't been South Florida. If it had been Wisconsin last week, Pritchett would have been starting at left tackle and Booker would have been at left guard.
Right.
So he was fresh in the fourth quarter against a team that at the end of the day got worn down. That's the way I look at it.
Yep. I agree. But he has started. So, like I said, I have zero issues with because we were told all year that they were battling back and forth and they were going to see who was the most physical. And made it sound like that would be the distinguishing mark if there was ever separation. So we'll see what he's able to do. But Chuck Hunt pointing out what I was saying, he just added a few more words. He said 9 months while the body has to get broken into game action being off that amount of time. That's my concern with Pritchett. I'm not worried about the first quarter.
No.
My concern is that this week and in 2 weeks, man, he's going to have to play 4 quarters. And the first time he has to play 4 quarters, if it's against Georgia, I'm concerned if it's a tight game down the stretch. I'm just being honest with you. I really, really think his body needed these games for conditioning. That's my concern going into the Georgia game.
That's why I wish he could have been healthy. And they haven't breaking up.
You're good. We can hear you talking. Go. Hey, let's get the break here. Let's keep going. We'll be back on the other side. Check out Houston Hydra Steam. Houston Hydra Steam. It's not my company, but we do tell each other we're brother from another mother. Quality work you can stand on. Quality work you can stand on. 205-553-9460. That's Houston Hydra Steam. Quality work you can stand on. Free estimates. Professionally trained technicians. 100% satisfaction. Appointments set around your schedule. No hidden charges or fees. Extra care and attention given to trouble areas. This month's special free chair upholstery cleaning with the purchase of a couch chair cleaning at $45, cleaning value of $45, or half off Scotch Guard application with the purchase of entire house carpet cleaning is $80 value. That's HoustonHydraSteam.com or 205-553-9460.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show. The coach, Ellis Johnson, will break down SEC football, plus the Falcons report with D. Orlando Ledbetter. The Falcons laid an egg this past Sunday against the Steelers. And we'll also check in with Jeff Spiegel from ABC 3340. That and more. That's the Gary Harris Show, Thursday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. Francine made landfall in Louisiana last night as a Category 2 hurricane with winds upwards of 100 miles per hour. The storm is dissipating as it moves through Mississippi this morning, but it will still have impacts on Alabama with torrential rainfall, possible flooding, and quick spin-up tornadoes throughout the day. A flood watch is in effect until tomorrow morning for the entire area. 2 to 4 inches of rainfall with locally higher amounts are possible. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, hello and happy Thursday to you. Regardless of the soggy, wet weather we have right now, we're not doing too shabby traffic-wise. Now, if you are driving in the area, do know you want to reduce your speed. Drive very carefully, especially on all bridges, transition ramps, and overpasses. Other than that, we got the construction zones.
Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or online at bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Get ready to wrap up this Thursday edition. We finished up the last quarter talking about the offensive line and the best combination. And to put the finishing touches on that, Curtis Moore brought up that Coach Cap said that Pritchett and Formby were going to flip-flop throughout the season. He said there were 6 starters on this offensive line. And while that's true, I think you always want to have a set guy at every position. And then have a guy that's a swing tackle or a swing guard. You've seen that in the past. That's what Tyler Booker was his first year at Alabama. He was the swing guard. He would rotate between left and right before finally finding a home. So that was that 6th starter, but a 6th starter that was going to come in and fill spots. You want to have one guy that you trust in to go out there and play every down if he has to. But jumping from that, this offense, do you think this offense has been vanilla the first couple weeks of the season?
To a certain degree, I definitely think that's been the case. And, this past weekend, it got to a point where I was concerned that Tommy Rees had jumped back up in the press box when we just refused to help the offensive line and the quarterback and running backs out, because you go back and look, the drive when we ran the screen, we only called it once, and I don't think they want to show the screen game too early. But I'm always leery of not showing some of your stuff when it comes to execution. And screen is a different type of play. When we moved the pocket, we had success. And when we threw the quick game, we had success. We just didn't feature that a lot. And so, yeah, I think it has been pretty vanilla in terms of what we've done so far.
And I agree with that. I think you don't want to show too much early, but I know you've talked about it time and time again. Your last loss in college was to Florida. And it was, y'all had been practicing the option and all that, but you didn't show it. Was it Vanderbilt the first game of the season?
Yep.
And then you went down to Gainesville and you tried to run the option, and it was a disaster. How many fumbles did y'all have, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it was 6, 4 in the first half.
So so that's the prime example of when you want to do something, you want to get it in there and you want to get it against teams that you feel like you can beat without it, but you don't want to be going into a high-level opponent not having run anything. Now, Wisconsin is a step up. So I think you'll see more this week, more different things, different, alignments, whatever that we probably haven't seen. But you definitely want to get that work in going into a bye before you play Georgia. So
let me ask you this question to be fair to this coaching staff.
Okay.
Has it been that they don't want to do that, or has it been the fact that week 1 you ended up with a left tackle that wasn't supposed to be the left tackle? So that cut down your playbook. That cut down getting more complex. That makes sense. Did that? And then last week you put in a whole new offensive line pretty much.
I think he said they'd only practice together 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and so did some of that also, considering the opponent, considering the change, considering the fact that it's almost like this, X. When you get ready to play against an option offense as a defense, you try not to put too much in because it'll mess up what you do the other 11 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to put too much in on your defense because you don't want them forgetting their main techniques, but you have to be prepared for that game. Is it also possible that the blitzing, wild, crazy style that South Florida uses, we won't see that, all year, because that's not Wisconsin style, that's not Georgia style. We don't have a lot of guys on our roster that's going to play that way. And so did that also, new offensive line, a crazy, chaotic style defense, the level of the opponent, and all of that, did that have something to do with the vanilla?
It could have. But even with that, when we talk about the way the offense looked this past week, while there was a lot of questions of why didn't we do a short game? Why didn't we do a quick game? I don't think that would be showing too much. Or do you think that's what they're going to try to make this offense be going forward?
What do you mean by that?
So a lesser opponent that was a crazy blitz team, we didn't try a short game. We know Jalen is, when he has time, one of the best, if not the best, deep ball thrower in the country. But we didn't try to short game it for the majority of the game. Now, in the fourth quarter, You look at the fourth quarter, you look at the drive where he threw the touchdown to Kobe. Short throw, runs and short throws. You look at the touchdown drive with the throw to Ryan. That might have been, to me, that looked like an option route where, hey, depending on what the DB's doing, you run a hitch or you run a go. But it was short game. Quick, get it out of Jalen's hands, get it to the playmakers. So which way are we leaning?
Well, I think, I'm taking the other side because of the points you're making. I'm not sure totally, X, but I would say that if we show too much, then if somebody tries this style against us in the future, we have film on what they do, and then we can game plan against it. If we show everything we do to counteract it, now the other teams have that. And so did this coaching staff feel like we could win the game? Did they feel like the fourth quarter was possible? That makes sense. And they waited and only pulled a few plays out. I don't know that. I'm just trying to think the devil's advocate and why we haven't seen more. And I think we'll see more of that offense this week because it only gives Georgia one film to study versus 3.
Okay, I get what
they've thrown in, like I said, they threw in the screen. They threw in a couple. Yeah. They threw them in. So now Georgia has to prepare for all of that. In this game, I think you'll see even more. And like I said, I think it's, we're 2 games in. If we're still having this conversation, after the Georgia game, then it tells me that this offensive team couldn't pick up a complex playbook.
Okay, so you think it's just 100% waiting to limit what Georgia has to study on?
I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination, X. I think some of it, I think it's a combination of the offensive line combinations and not doing too much. I think it's a combination. Take your last 30 seconds, then I'll wrap it up.
Well, this is the Martin Houston Show. We've talked a little recruiting today. Alabama basketball lands a big-time recruit to start off their 2025 class. We've talked the combination on this offensive line. Is this what the move needs to be moving forward to see Alabama be successful as we go on the road to Wisconsin and have Georgia in a couple weeks? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, we got a free-for-all Friday set up for you on tomorrow, so you can get in on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline at 205-342-9904 or in the live stream on the Martin Houston Show on Facebook. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll also look inside the Wisconsin Badgers, look at a couple things there. Is this the Wisconsin of old? We've talked like it is, but will we see something different? Join us tomorrow at 6 a.m. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, and not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. For Martin Houston, for Xavier Houston, for Chase Brumfield, for all the call-ins and viewers and casuals being a part of the show, we thank you, and roll tide, everybody.